could you share with the audience 3 value systems about Bharat that you believe we should revive and that are useful for 21st century India? 3 value systems from
Yeah.
Bharat.
Well, the first one is in distinction with other, and especially the Western value systems. We have always regarded that material progress should harmonize with spiritual advancement. And we have always venerated those who were what we call as in Sanskrit as Jnani and Tyagi. In the stark realization of this came to me when I first landed in Boston and then went to class at Harvard. And my classmate sitting next to me, an American, asked me this question that what is wrong with you Indians that you followed a man like Mahatma Gandhi? And I said, why, you don't like his nonviolence theory or what? He said, no, he's not properly dressed. So I said, and then of course it occurred to me, Mahatma Gandhi had bare body and bare legs and just a piece of cloth here. And he said, you've all followed him, millions and millions of people couldn't understand. So I said, in your country, you mean you cannot have a man like Mahatma Gandhi? So he said, if he comes dressed like that, we'll put him in jail for indecent exposure. Our politicians must be, and our leaders should be very well dressed, and which is a fact. And it's also true for their religious leaders, very well dressed. Whereas they take any of the Shankaracharyas, they just wear a piece of saffron cloth. So this kind of society has, first of all, for ordinary citizens, said there should be a balance, and both should go. That's that this material prosperity must be accompanied by spiritual advancement. But it also said that the most venerated part of our society would be those who have sacrificed worldly pleasures and have devoted themselves to knowledge, maybe spiritual knowledge, any knowledge. So teachers, for example, or gurus were considered the highest people. So this is value number one. Value number two comes out of Gita, that and that really solves your stress problem, which the West has not been able to solve. And why most of the Westerners come here to our ashrams here in big numbers. And that is that you have freedom in this life only for your actions. You can take any action you want. There's no constraint. Of course, subject to the usual social framework. But the results of that, Lord Krishna says in Gita, is for me to decide. It's not that if you do good work, you will not be rewarded, but in what form, when, in what context, that I will decide. So that's why you can explain why some very bad people get lots of things and some very good people go through a lot of hardships. The explanation is the law of karma. That you go on doing good deeds, it accumulates in one side of the ledger of Lord Krishna. And do bad deeds, it's on the side. If you do not suffer those during one lifetime, it gets transferred to your next life. Yeah. And your previous life karma sometimes hits, even though you're a good person, you haven't broken any law, but you suffer. So this recognition that the work for a goal, but that goal you don't achieve, don't be heartbroken. In fact, Lord Krishna goes to the extreme of saying, treat victory and defeat almost as two parts of a coin. So sorrow and happiness also. So neither be too happy nor too sorrowful.
Sankalpa.
Yes, there's moderation. So this is the second thing. And the third thing, which I felt is unique of our value, is the treatment of the family, where the moment you become aged, you don't throw them away, which is what happens in the West. And I think these three values are what is made this civilization the only unbroken civilization of the 46 civilizations which UNESCO has tabulated.
Beautiful. And a lot of people don't actually understand that when you talk about Krishna or you talk about any of our other deities, they are not in the religious term a god sitting in the sky.
That's
it's
right.
a dimension within us as well.
That's right.
And people don't seem to understand that, which is a big shame.
It's a weakness of our educational system,
Yeah.
which the British introduced and we are continuing.
Yes.